Come to the next sutta, 35.121. This sutta is also found in the Majjhima Nikaya, Sutta 147. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at Savatthi in Jeta's Grove, Anathapindika's park. Then while the Blessed One was alone in seclusion, a reflection arose in his mind thus: the states that ripen in liberation have come to maturity in Rahula. Let me lead him on further to the destruction of the asavas. That means to liberation. Stop here for a moment. This Rahula is actually the son of the Buddha. And when he was 7 years old, the Buddha asked Sariputta, I think, to ordain him. So after that, he kept on the robes, and then later took the higher ordination. So because he was the Buddha's son, the Buddha was concerned for him. So the Buddha thought that it's time to lead him to enlightenment. Then in the morning, the Blessed One dressed and taking bowl and robe, walked for alms in Savatthi. When he had returned from the alms round, after his meal he addressed the Venerable Rahula. Take a sitting cloth, Rahula. Let us go to the blind man's grove for the day's abiding. Yes, Venerable Sir, the Venerable Rahula replied. And having taken a sitting cloth, he followed close behind the Blessed One. Now on that occasion, many thousands of devatas followed the Blessed One, thinking, today the Blessed One will lead the Venerable Rahula on further to the destruction of the asavas. Then the Blessed One plunged into the blind man's grove and sat down at the foot of a certain tree on a seat that was prepared for him. The Venerable Rahula paid homage to the Blessed One and sat down to one side. The Blessed One then said to him, what do you think, Rahula? Is the I permanent or impermanent? Impermanent, Venerable Sir. Is what is impermanent suffering or happiness? Suffering, Venerable Sir. Is what is impermanent suffering and subject to change, fit to be regarded thus, this is mine, this I am, this is myself? No, Venerable Sir. Similarly, are forms permanent or impermanent? Is I consciousness permanent or impermanent? Eye contact, feeling, perception, volition, consciousness, permanent or impermanent? And to all this, he says impermanent. And then is the ear, etc. For all the 6 sense bases. All these, that means the 6 sense base, the sense organ itself, and then the sense object, and then the sense, the consciousness, and the contact, feeling, perception, volition, consciousness, for each of the different sense bases. So you see, the Buddha purposely, he asks very slowly, one sense base by one sense base, and each sense base is so detailed. First he'll ask forms, are forms permanent or impermanent? The eye permanent or impermanent? Then Venerable Rahula says it's impermanent. Then the Buddha makes him see that what is impermanent, subject to change, and suffering is not fit to regard it as this is I and mine. And then after that, he moves to the sense object, and then to the consciousness, and to eye contact. So every one of these is repeating what is impermanent, is suffering or happiness. Then he has to say suffering, Venerable Sir. Is what is impermanent, suffering, and subject to change, fit to be regarded. This is mine, this I am, this myself. And Venerable Rahula has to answer all these for so many times. You see, like one sense base, like the eye itself, how many times he has to go through? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 times. 8 times. Just one sense base. So 8 times 6 is 48, isn't it? 48 times he has to repeat all this. The Buddha purposely makes him repeat all this to drive home the point, what is impermanent and suffering is not fit to be regarded as this is mine, this I am, this is myself. Seeing thus Rahula, the learned noble disciple, experiences revulsion towards the eye, revulsion towards forms, revulsion towards eye consciousness, revulsion towards eye contact, revulsion towards anything included in feeling, perception, volition, consciousness arisen with eye contact as condition. He experiences similarly revulsion towards the ear and all the sense bases. Experiencing revulsion, he becomes dispassionate. Through dispassion, his mind is liberated. When it is liberated, there comes the knowledge, it's liberated. He understands, destroyed is birth. The holy life has been lived. What had to be done has been done. There is no more for this state of being. This is what the Blessed One said. Elated, the Venerable Rahula delighted in the Blessed One's statement. And while this discourse was being spoken, the Venerable Rahula's mind was liberated from the asavas by non-clinging. And in those many thousands of devatas, there arose the dust-free, stainless vision of the Dhamma. Whatever is subject to origination is all subject to cessation. That's the end of the sutta. So, the Buddha made this Venerable Rahula repeat all these statements until he really see it clearly. Then Venerable Rahula attain enlightenment, liberation. And the many thousands of devas and devis that were there listening, all of them attained the Dhamma vision or attained stream entry. That's the most devas can attain. They only listen because they don't cultivate like us, because there's no suffering for them, no incentive to cultivate. So you see this, the Dhamma that leads one to enlightenment. We hear it so many times, we still haven't become enlightened. That's why everybody has time. 35.127. On one occasion, the Venerable Pindola Bharadvaja was dwelling at Kosambi in Gosita's park. I stop here for a moment. This Venerable Pindola Bharadvaja, you don't meet him many times in the suttas, but in the Vinaya books, he's quite famous. How he became famous was one day, a rich man, he wanted to see whether there were still any arahants in the world. So he sent a message all over the place, saying that he is going to hang a golden bowl very high up. And which arahant has psychic power, he can fly up and take that golden bowl and that is his, he can have it. So this message went around. So this Pindola Bharadvaja, he walked, like the Buddha's time, the monks, they walk from place to place. So he came to this place, people told him about this. So he flew up into the air, took the bowl, and then holding the bowl, he circled that village, or that town, circled 3 times. And then he came down. So he became famous. And then people offered him so many things until his kuti was overflowing with all the requisites, honey, all the things that were allowable at night, honey, whatever else, prunes, dates, all that. There's another incident about him, is that the king, because the king was very impressed with the Buddha and the Buddha's disciples, they were trying to excavate, I think, a cave to practice. So the king gave them a lot of workers, and the workers came with their families. So the whole village of workers was meant to serve the monks, the Sangha. So they did work for the monks. And the monks would also go to the village on alms round to collect food. So one day this Pindola Bharadvaja, he went to this village, and one small girl was crying, and he asked why is the small girl crying. And then this family happens to be very poor. So this small girl saw the other kids having things to play, put on their head and all these things, but she had nothing to play. Oh, this Pindola Bharadvaja, I think it was him. He used his psychic power. He created this, what do you call this? They put on the head, tiara, something like that, made of gold, solid gold, and gave it to this girl. And this girl saw it, oh, it's the most beautiful toy in the whole village. She was so happy. Then the news spread. And then came to the king's ear that this small girl has got this golden, beautiful, what you call it, tiara or what, which probably is more expensive than the queen's one also. So the king sent for this man, asked him where he got the thing. And this man could not explain. Because the father could not explain, the king put him in jail. Said he must have stolen it. Then this Pindola Bharadvaja, this Arahant, heard about it, and then he went to see the king. So he explained to the king. He explained in an indirect way. I think he used his toe to press on the ground, and the whole palace became solid gold. So he asked the king where your gold came from. Then the king understood. So king released that man. Okay. Then King Udena approached the venerable Pindola Bharadvaja and exchanged greetings with him. When they had concluded their greetings and cordial talk, he sat down to one side and said to him, Master Bharadvaja, what is the cause and reason why these young monks, lads with black hair, endowed with the blessing of youth, in the prime of life, who have not dallied with sensual pleasures, lead the complete and pure holy life all their lives and maintain it continuously? And he said, Great King, this was said by the Blessed One who knows and sees, the Arahant Sammasambuddha. Come monks, towards women old enough to be your mother, set up the idea that they are your mother. Towards those of an age to be your sisters, set up the idea that they are your sisters. Towards those young enough to be your daughters, set up the idea that they are your daughters. This is the cause and reason, Great King, why these young monks, lads with black hair, endowed with the blessing of youth, in the prime of life, who have not dallied with sensual pleasures, lead the complete and pure holy life all their lives and maintain it continuously. And then the king said, the mind is wanton, Master Bharadvaja. Sometimes states of lust arise even towards women old enough to be one's mother. Sometimes they arise towards women of an age to be one's sister. Sometimes they arise towards women young enough to be one's daughter. Is there any other cause and reason why these young monks lead the complete and pure holy life all their lives and maintain it continuously? And this Venerable Pindola said, Great King, this was said by the Blessed One who knows and sees, Arahant Sammasambuddha. Come monks, review this very body upwards from the soles of the feet, downwards from the tips of the hairs, enclosed in skin, as full of many kinds of impurities. There are in this body head hairs, body hairs, nails, teeth, skin, flesh, sinews, bones, bone, marrow, kidneys, heart, liver, pleura, spleen, lungs, intestines, mesentery, contents of the stomach, excrement, bile, phlegm, pus, blood, sweat, fat, tear, grease, saliva, snot, fluid of the joints, urine. This too, Great King, is a cause and reason why these young monks lead the complete and pure holy life all their lives and maintain it continuously. And the king said, that is easy, Master Bharadvaja, for those monks who are developed in body, developed in virtue, developed in mind, developed in wisdom. But it is difficult for those monks who are undeveloped in body, undeveloped in virtue, undeveloped in mind, undeveloped in wisdom. Sometimes though one thinks, I will attend to the body as foul, one beholds it as beautiful. Is there any other cause and reason why these young monks lead the complete and pure holy life all their lives and maintain it continuously? And the Venerable Pindola said, Great King, this was said by the Blessed One who knows and sees, the Arahant Sammasambuddha. Come monks, dwell guarding the doors of the sense faculties. Having seen a form with the eye, do not grasp its signs and features, since if you leave the eye faculty unguarded, evil, unwholesome states of covetousness and displeasure might invade you. Practice the way of its restraint. Guard the eye faculty. Undertake the restraint of the eye faculty. Similarly, having heard a sound with the ear, smell an odor with the nose, severed a taste with the tongue, contacted touch with the body, having cognized a thought with the mind, do not grasp its signs and features, since if you leave the faculties unguarded, evil, unwholesome states of covetousness and displeasure might invade you. Practice the way of its restraint. Guard the faculties. Undertake the restraint of the sense faculties. This too, great king, is a cause and reason why these young monks lead the complete and pure holy life all their lives and maintain it continuously. And the king said, "It is wonderful, Master Bharadvaja. It is amazing, Master Bharadvaja, how well this has been stated by the Blessed One who knows and sees, the Arahant Sammasambuddha. So this is the cause and reason why these young monks, lads with black hair, endowed with the blessings of youth, in the prime of life, who have not dallied with sensual pleasures, lead the complete and pure holy life all their lives and maintain it continuously. In my case too, when I enter my harem, unguarded in body, speech and mind, without setting up mindfulness, unrestrained in the sense faculties, on that occasion states of lust assail me forcefully. But when I enter my harem, guarded in body, speech and mind, with mindfulness set up, restrained in the sense faculties, on that occasion states of lust do not assail me in such a way. Magnificent Master Bharadvaja, magnificent Master Bharadvaja. The Dhamma has been made clear in many ways by Master Bharadvaja, as though he were turning upright but had been turned upside down, revealing what was hidden, showing the way to one who was lost, or holding up a lamp in the dark for those with eyesight to see forms. Master Bharadvaja, I go for refuge to the Blessed One and to the Dhamma and to the Bhikkhu Sangha. From today, let Master Bharadvaja remember me as a lay follower who has gone for refuge for life. That's the end of the sutta. So you see this Venerable Pindola, how well he answered the king. He said, why the king could not understand why these young monks haven't tasted all the pleasures of life and still can lead the holy life so purely. So the first thing the Venerable Pindola said was, the Buddha taught them to consider them as their own relatives. Old women to be your mother, and some to be your sisters, and some the young ones to be like your daughters. But then this king says, that is not easy to do. You still, when you see them, I still can have lust. Then the Venerable Pindola said, the Buddha also taught to contemplate the 32 parts of the body. We recite the 32 parts of the body and contemplate the 32 parts of the body. Then when you see a body, you not only see the outside. Generally when we see somebody, we only see skin deep. We only see the outside. We think, oh, this girl is beautiful or that man is handsome. But when you consider all the things inside the body, full of excrement and urine and blood and pus and snot and all these things, then it's not so attractive anymore. That's the purpose of this meditation on the 32 parts of the body. And on top of that, the Buddha also taught to guard the sense faculties. Whenever anything comes into our six sense doors, we have to set up mindfulness, not to pay too much attention, because once you pay too much attention, then either you see it as attractive or you see it as unattractive, and different feelings arise. And when feelings arise, then a lot of thoughts come up, and then unwholesome states of mind come up. These are the three things he quoted. In fact, there are other things also, but here only three things are quoted. So the king was so impressed. The king says, it's true. I also, the king said, when he goes into his harem, he sees all his beautiful wives. He also find it difficult to restrain himself. The later part of this chapter, you find some very beautiful similes, analogies, parables given by the Buddha.
The story about Venerable Pindola, when he used psychic power to transform the grass into a kind of air, he was holding gold, so worth thousands of dollars. So he being an arahant, very well, like Sama and Samyutta, they won't pay money even for safekeeping for a very short while. So an arahant can hold thousands of dollars. I mean, it's contradictory with it, and it's always in reality. So,
Yeah, but the Buddha said that these rules are made with a purpose. So we have to understand if a monk touches money or something valuable and unwholesome states of mind develop, then he should not. But in the case of an arahant, he does not develop unwholesome states of mind. That's one thing. The other thing is even the Buddha himself, in his early years of teaching, he was extremely ascetic. And I remember, I think monks, he forbade monks from using something in the bathroom or something, scrubbing the body or something like that. Something quite minor the Buddha did not allow. But we see in the suttas, when the Buddha grew old, he became more relaxed. Towards the end, somebody offered him, when he was about to pass away, in the Mahaparinibbana Sutta, offered him some cloth with gold sewn on it. He also accepted. Not that he wanted to use it, he definitely didn't want to use it. But out of compassion for the person who offered, he gave that person a chance to do merit. So sometimes some of these things, the precepts are actually made for younger monks who find it difficult to restrain themselves. If you didn't have these precepts for them, they would not be able to restrain themselves. But for people who are matured, then actually the precepts are not a problem. The other thing is sometimes you find with the Buddha, sometimes like he made certain rules, and yet some of the rules he did not keep himself. For example, he didn't allow, I think after this incident, the Buddha did not allow monks to show off their psychic power. But sometimes he would also show off his psychic power to impress some people who sort of didn't have any respect for him. Like sometimes after debating with some external ascetic, then he fly off into the air and back to the monastery.
Because we live in a community, so not like monks who in institution on their very own, you don't have to interact with people, not much contact. Whereas in a monastery, there sometimes say let go. You see somebody does wrong, when you let go or not to let go. For example, you see somebody sleeping or throwing their sword into the kitchen sink, it's easy to say, okay, go, say this wrong, but for the sake of the whole community, if everybody is doing that, then, it will be, everybody will fall sick with it. But where is wrong, where to say not true?
Sometimes if you feel that something needs to be said, we can say it, but try to put it in a nice way, not to offend people. For example, say it with a smile or in a joking way or something, people don't get offended, or just point out the notice. So that's one way. And then sometimes also you see that person, the person is very sensitive, then can forget about it. Don't Don't say it, especially at that time. Maybe some other time. The Buddha says, right speech. You should also know the time to say it. So we have to sometimes use our wisdom. Usually, if we say things in a nice way, usually people can accept. Yeah. The answer is not difficult. The only thing is whether a person can do it. Renounce. Let go. It was so easy, the Buddha would not ask people to go forth and renounce. That's enough. If you can practice at home and still do your business and all that, the Buddha would not ask people to renounce. It's for the purpose of that, and that's why people renounce. Say again. Don't. Systematic attention. Where is this mentioned? Can you tell me the more details about the sutta? Maybe this word, systematic attention, comes from the Pali word yoniso manasikara. This word yoniso manasikara, there are many translations for it. One is systematic attention, one is thorough attention, one is proper attention, one is thorough consideration, and all this. So what it means is when you contemplate something, that all your attention is there, so that you can see right through. Actually, the word yoniso manasikara comes from the word yoni. Yoni means the womb, the birthplace. Okay, and then manasikara comes from the word mana and kara. Mana is the mind. Kara is the work of the mind. Work of the mind is either you consider or you pay attention or you reflect. So the consideration or the attention that goes to the birthplace, the root of the problem. In other words, if you hear the Dhamma, then you consider it deeply. Thorough attention, you can say, thorough attention. Then you can understand. If you listen to the Dhamma, half-hearted attention, then you won't be able to absorb it. So that's why you need this yoniso manasikara, thorough attention. It is said in the suttas that you can attain right view and become an Arya with two conditions. As in the Majjhima Nikaya, Sutta 43, it says that you achieve right view with two conditions. The first one is the voice of another. That means somebody else teaching you the Dhamma. And the second condition is yoniso manasikara, thorough attention, proper attention. When you listen to the Dhamma, you pay proper attention, thorough attention, deep attention. Then you can understand, then you can achieve right view. And with that, you enter the stream, become an Arya. So this thorough attention is very important. Whatever you do, you must have thorough attention. No. Perfect sila is just a precondition. If you have perfect sila and you can enter the stream, then you don't have to be a Buddhist. You don't have to listen to the Buddha's words. You just keep a sila. Like other religions also have sila. But if you don't hear the Dhamma, you can never attain stream entry.
I think it's about talking speech. So even we meditation centers, they forbid people from talking to them. So when they come there, when we keep the silence, so that's not practical in the world.
I mean, different centers or different Buddhist centers practice different things. But actually in the Sutta, or maybe the Vinaya books, the Buddha did mention that in the Buddhist religion, we don't just keep silent. The Buddha said that this is an external sect practice. It is allowed to speak, but speak what is important, what is necessary. But even then, the Buddha's disciples sometimes did practice silence. There's one time, there's one sutta where 3 monks, they lived alone, lived together, these 3 of them, and they practiced together. Every morning they go on alms round, and when they come back from alms round, they will have their food. They will cooperate by bringing the water for washing the feet, water for washing the arms bowl, and they bring the dustbin and all that. And after eating their food, they will clean up. They all do. But even like they want to carry water, they try not to talk at all to each other. Whole day they won't talk to each other. If they need somebody's help, they will just signal, and then, so that's how they pass the day. But at night, after they spend the day meditation, at night when they come together, then they will discuss Dhamma. So it's not that they keep Dhamma the whole day. It's necessary to speak, they will speak. So like in certain monasteries, centers, you see they maintain silence. That is maybe good for certain periods, but long term, you cannot. It's not practical to maintain silence long term. That self, that person who thinks that he is the self, that person. Because unless you are enlightened, you still have the self, right? So this person that is not liberated, he is the one, he thinks he gets the karma. So in your dream, suppose somebody slaps you in your dream. In your dream, when you wake up, then you know that it was only a dream. But when you are dreaming, that time somebody slaps you, you feel the slap, isn't it? You can't say, because you have not woken up. You have not woken up from your dream. So when you get the slap, you feel it as real, right? So similarly, before you are enlightened, the unenlightened person, he's the one who receives all that karma. Only when he's enlightened, then he knows it's just like a dream. Now we transfer merit.